Welcome to the Growth Whispers podcast. And this week, we're going to have a great time talking about something called the monthly meeting, which we'll get to in a minute. But this podcast is about building enduring great companies, something Brad and I are very passionate about. And we talk about different things every week of helping people to thrive as they build their businesses. So I'm Kevin Lawrence, joined as always with Brad Giles. Brad, how are things going for you today?
Excellent. We are in the throes of summer. A beautiful time in Australia this summer. Getting out into the beach, having a good time. Good. So, what about you, Kevin? How are you doing?
I'm doing awesome. Yeah, we're well on our way in 2022. Hard to believe it. That's 2022. Isn't that incredible? It's wild. So yeah, things are good. Just just like Alang's we got our team quarterly meeting coming up where we'll be resetting all of our plans. And but today we're talking about something called the monthly, which again we'll get to that in a minute. So word of the day, Brad, what would be the word that you have today?
Confident. So how confident are you going into 2022? How confident are you? Hopefully you've been following this series of episodes about the meeting rhythm, and hopefully you've got a coach, you've got a plan in place that gives you confidence, because it's certainly the thing that I've seen is that the more that we do this stuff with teams, the more confident they get about their strategy and their future. And what about yourself?
Change agent is the word for today. We all need to be change agents, but I really think about it in some of the work that we're doing in companies. And in many ways, that's what we are. And I think it's Newton's third or first law. I forget which it is, but it's an object in motion will remain in motion unless acted upon by an unstable force. It's either first or the third law. Mm-hmm. And in many ways, we're the unstable force that helps to change the trajectory of the company, because they're very comfortable going down the road that they're going down, and we need to kind of shift and change their perspectives. And we do that through questions and tools, and being that change agent. So it's being a confident change agent can have a massive impact on a company's performance. And ideally, we're trying to help everyone to be the change agents, not just ourselves or not just the CEOs.
Yeah, awesome. So I can't do any justice to your stitching, but is your change agent helping you to be more confident? How's that?
Whoa, there you go. Hey?
There you go.
All right, boom, let's go. So the monthly meeting, and there's many different versions of the monthly meeting. And what we're talking about probably isn't the one that you're doing if you're doing them already. There's a very specific structure for a monthly meeting that we're going to dig into today. And the main thing is it's either 2 or 4 hours, or in some cases, a full day that this meeting would be. And we'll get to that in a minute. One of the things, though, that's most interesting, and we're talking about this as we're preparing, it is the one meeting rhythm that we often encourage people to do last. As in, let's get your annual and your quarterly meetings going. Let's make sure that your weekly meeting is highly, highly effective. Getting the dailies going for those that choose to do them. They're very powerful, although not everyone does them. But we would get all of those meetings up and running first, and then we generally would tackle the monthly.
Yeah, I like to say to teams, get the weekly meeting highly functioning, get that working really, really well. And then what I've noticed is that teams get this gap between a weekly and a quarterly. It's like we need another meeting where we dedicate more time to it. And when you get that feeling, which it could take 6 months or 18 months of running the weekly, when you get that feeling, it's probably the right time to go into a deeper dive. If the weekly meeting is a shallow dive, then the monthly is a deeper dive into the items that we're going to go through today.
Right. So an effective quarterly and effective weekly generally start to build the demand or the need for a monthly to dig deeper and get a bit more strategic on a more frequent basis. Because what happens is you don't get to it in a weekly, and then the quarterly gets overloaded. So then the monthly meeting be the place where we chew through a lot of these other, tactical or strategic discussions that are really important.
What's ironic is that we're talking about senior leadership teams, people who work in and on the business. But if you were in a board, perhaps for a board member, the most important meeting is probably the monthly board meeting.
Yeah, if they have them. And some boards don't. Some boards get to the point where they can run it based on a quarterly meeting, but that monthly keeps you in touch and have the pulse on and in touch with what's going on in the business.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, let's jump in. So why does this matter? Like, what is the real value of that monthly meeting? And one of the key things is, are we on track at a deep level for all of our quarterly goals? That would be the company level goals and the department level goals. Is everyone on track with everything? And that's a chance to get support, get insights, and then recalibrate to still be able to achieve what you need to by the end of the quarter.
Yeah, imagine that you are 30 days in or 4 weeks into the quarter and something is just really, really red. In other words, there is an item that's quite important that nothing's getting done on. Well, this is the chance to really stop and recalibrate and say, well, either we're going to not do it, or we're going to change the plan or change the tack or additional resources or something. We need to figure out, how are we going to get that done in the next 8 weeks if you've done nothing in the past 4 weeks?
Yes. So it's a chance to do that recalibration and catch up, because we need reminders. We forget about what's going on and get lost in the chaos and the drama or the problems of the day-to-day, where the monthly meeting forces you out of the day-to-day to look at these things and get back on track. So super important. The second thing, is, I mentioned a little bit already, but is to review at the department level how we're doing. And this is both for the benefit of the CEO and the executives. It creates that peer pressure of reviewing how we're doing. But usually people in departments are doing their thing, and they're off doing their own. This is where everyone comes back together to give updates. There's lots of dependencies between departments, or things that people need to know to stay in sync. And there's no other time when we're really going to look at what our peers are doing versus what they committed to.
Yeah, so it absolutely depends on the size of the business. But I've got teams who run weekly meetings monthly meetings. And for 1 hour at that monthly meeting, they'll have a department or a team of, let's say, 3 to 6 people come in from the department, and they'll go through a set agenda as a part of that broader monthly. And they'll say, how are you going on your priorities? They'll give some updates. They'll work through, they'll answer all of the questions they've got and make some hardcore decisions, because all the decision makers are in the room. And
Yes.
that gets things to move faster. So that means that they might have, let's say, between 8 and 9, they'll have the sales team come in. Between 9 and 10, they'll have the operations team come in, and then the marketing team or something like that. So there's many different ways to do it, but it's a deep dive. That's the important part.
Yeah, 100%. The next thing is zooming out and looking at customer and employee feedback. Like, what is really going on with our other key stakeholders, right? And zooming out and say, okay, what are the customers saying? What's good? What's not good? What might we need to tweak in our plans right now? Yes, we have plans and goals, but if we're not taking good care of our customers, we might need to do something different. And similar with employees. What are we hearing? What's the pulse on different things?
The important thing is that we want qualitative and quantitative data. So we might have, for example, a net promoter score for customers, which is quantitative, and also a 4Q, 4 questions. We've got an episode about the 4Q.
Yep.
What are the 4 questions that we've got to ask all of our customers that is systematized, which is qualitative, so that we can get that kind of one-on-one feedback that's very different to the NPS. And then the same thing for the employees, where we would say, for example, the employee net promoter score, which is quantitative, and then the start, stop, keep, which we start doing, which we stop doing, which we keep doing, which is the qualitative aspect. So if we've got enough of that type of data coming in regularly, that's going to help us to make better decisions as a leadership team.
Yeah, and just being in tune with the environment internally and externally. The next piece on a monthly meeting, and I believe this is where some of the greatest value is created. There's a lot from reviewing goals and making sure we're on track, but then it's collective intelligence. And like happens in quarterlies, although often there's not enough time in the quarterlies to do as much of this as we need to, is that we dig into some of the projects they're working on or some of the things that we need to figure out. Someone will come and make a presentation on what we're doing around the ERP. And then we're going to brainstorm some stuck points or brainstorm resources or brainstorm whatever it is we need to do to make that project successful. So it's where we need to get realigned or make some important decisions to use the brains in the room to push it forward. And again, it could be pushing it forward from making the decision, or it could be pushing it forward from a buy-in, or pushing it forward from getting resources and support. But whatever it happens to be is that things that we all need to be involved in. Interestingly, one of my clients in India, they used to fly people in 8 times a year for these monthly meetings from all across, we're talking like planes, trains, and automobiles to cross India to get back to corporate to have these meetings, or head office. They don't call it corporate. But for many, many years, they would bring everyone in for a full day just to bring people together, because the output of these meetings and this collective intelligence in particular, all of it, is growth of your middle managers. Because that's when they would bring these middle managers in, not just the executives, the extended team. It was 40 people, which is quite an expense. I think it was about 8% of their employee cost this meeting ended up adding up to. But it was an opportunity to have more people involved and develop and grow, because they're getting a chance to really dig into the business, and it wasn't happening in any other form.
And those people would have grown so much over a year, 2 years, 3 years.
Yep.
All of that learning, it builds such a strong environment. Our job as leaders is to grow the people around us so that they can grow the company.
Yeah. And what we refer to as it's DNA transfer. It's the time when you get to work with the directors and the executives and understand what's going on and see different things and work with your peers. They gave them lots of projects and other things. So that's, the next is really, the collective intelligence and those strategic discussions. And then, the final piece, and it's sort of last but not least, and it's a given, although most people have opportunities to improve on this, and that is a very deep financial review.
Yeah.
And that's grinding through the income statement, the balance sheet, and the cash flow, and really line by line, what's working, what's not working, and what are we going to do something different going forward. And if we look at this for a lot of organizations, people have a financial review, but then not a lot happens. There should be a notable amount of action items after we review these. And and it's even going through and having a lot of questions. So this is pressure testing the financials, asking a lot of questions, and then figuring out what we have to do to perform better the next month.
Yeah. Because if we're not digging deeper on a monthly basis, suddenly we're going from the weekly meeting to the quarterly meeting, which is great to start off. But as I said earlier, you're going to get to a point where you're going to need to dig in, and to execute better, we've got to go deeper into each of these financials, each of the areas. And I love that you've got the who, what, when there at the end, because that who, what, when tells us who is going to do what by when. So we create that accountability within that monthly meeting.
Yeah. And it's a pet peeve of mine, Brad, because I see a lot of these monthly meetings, there's not enough action. It's a review of the financials to take actions, not just to review the financials.
Yeah. It's the purpose is to take action.
Yes, not just to get informed and entertained.
Very good. So a good chat today about the monthly meeting. It's an important part of the framework. It's an advanced move, perhaps, let's say, but still a really important part of the rhythm that we want to encourage teams to get into. So let's start off. Oh, and a quick point. We spoke here about collective intelligence. We've got an episode about collective intelligence. That's episode 58 that you may want to refer back to learn a little bit more about what collective intelligence is and why it matters, and how you can structure collective intelligence in your agenda. And so let's start off. Typically 2 to 4 hours up to a day for the monthly. And it really answers the question, are we on track for this quarter's plan? The opportunity to recalibrate, to adjust, to stop doing things if we need to, so that we can execute our quarterly plan, which should align with our annual strategic thinking plan. And so next, what we're doing is we're reviewing the quarterly progress, how we're going on each of the priorities that we've set, and we're reviewing the customer and employee data. Kevin, do you want to take us through the next two?
Yeah, then we get to the collective intelligence, where we're putting all the brains in the room around something that we need to figure out, whether we need to align around something, decide about something, improve something, get more resources, but debating the things and using the best brains in the company to do that. And it might be one of the strategic tools that we're working on, or one of our priorities, we don't know. And then last but not least, the deep financial review and a number of action items. Reviewing the financials at a granular level, a unit level, a product level, whatever it happens to be, seeing where we're winning and where we're not, and taking action on insights that we have so that we can perform better, or at least consistently, in the following month.
Awesome. A good chat today. So this is part of a series going from the annual meeting, the quarterly meeting. Today is obviously the monthly meeting. And next week, we're talking about the weekly meeting, one of the most hotly debated points within the meeting rhythm agenda, where people so often can make some slip up. So we hope you enjoy that one next week. And then the week after that, we're going into the daily huddle. And so let's begin to wrap it up. You can find the video version on YouTube. You can find Kevin at lawrenceandco.com, and Kevin's got a great newsletter you may want to subscribe to. Myself, Brad, you can find at evolutionpartners.com.au. And again, I've got a newsletter that I produce weekly as well, which provides insights on a whole range of different things. And so that really takes us to the end. Hope that you've enjoyed the episode, and look forward to chatting again next week about the weekly meeting. Have a great week.